Okay, the first one I'm going to start with is there's a question about the price ceilings and price floors. The way I want you to remember a price ceiling and a price floor, they are something that happens that's going to stop the market from being in equilibrium. So anytime you see price ceiling, price floor, immediately think about this is something that's going to stop the market from being in equilibrium. So for example, if we talked about minimum wage, all right, having a hard time here. Okay. If I were to draw out the model here, right, we're assuming this is quantity here on this axis, and we have on this one, the price, or for this example, minimum wages, right? We're going to have a supply curve and a demand curve. Demand curve is always going to slope downward. And so in equilibrium, we find out that we are actually at this wage here. Let's say this is $7.25. Right? At a price of $7.25, we have approximately, let's say, everyone in the class, if there's 35 people in the class, 35 people in the class have jobs. Well, if everyone decides that they want to make more money, they're going to lobby to Congress, or let's say the city of Houston, and they're going to say, we need to raise or up the minimum wage. Yeah, I still can't do this. I'm working on this, all right? So if they do, we're going to have what we call a price floor, right? Price floor is a minimum wage. And what it says, and this is a little confusing, because when you think of a floor, you usually think of a floor being below something. The floor is actually going to be above, right? It looks like a ceiling, but it's really a floor. This is the floor, right? What the floor says is you cannot pay someone anything less than, let's say, $10 an hour. All right, so again, price floor looks like a ceiling, but it's really a floor, right? Because this is the minimum amount here, right? So if you're paying someone $7.25, you must now pay them $10. And if you think about it like that, here's the demand. The demand here is the number of jobs I have open, right? How many I'm willing and able to buy, right? If the price is $10, where I used to hire, let's say 35 people, I'm now only going to want to hire 20 people. And the other consequence to having a price floor is there are people number 36, 37, 38, 39. These guys over on this side, they weren't willing to work for $7.25, right? But they are willing to work for $8, $8.50. And so raising the minimum wage could possibly pull people out of, let's say they were not in the labor force, weren't even looking for a job. Now they're looking for a job. And so instead of having 35 people, let's make this number 40. All right. So what this is done by having a price floor, I have now reduced the number of jobs that I'm going to hire. And at the same time, I've increased the population of people. This is the supply of labor, people who are looking for a job. So therefore, I have 40 people looking for a job, but only 20 positions to fill, all right? So that's why a lot of people will say that when you raise minimum wage, you could possibly cause unemployment, right? So again, this is a price floor. The other example is a price ceiling. Let me clear this. Price ceiling is going to work kind of in the opposite way. Let's say we've got good example for price ceiling, or you mentioned rent control in your problem, that the rent control problem had you confused, right? If this is the supply of available apartments, here's the demand, and let's say the going wage happens to be $600, right? At $600, everybody in the class, let's say 35 of us, everybody has an apartment, right? But you get tired and you're saying $600 is entirely too much. We need to do something about the rental property, right? That the rents are too high. So you're going to go to whomever. Let's say you go to the city of Houston. Oh, sorry about that. And you're going to lobby and have them reduce the rents, right? Here's the demand. Especially around the university, right? It's too expensive. College students want to live near the university. So if this happened in Berkeley, if you want to, let's say, create a price ceiling, we're going to do something, let's say $400. right? I'm just picking that $400, right? It's just arbitrary. A price ceiling would say that you cannot charge more than 400. So if someone's charging 600, they must bring the price down. So if this is the supply of available apartments on the market, right? I had 35 apartments I'm running, but now if I can only charge 400 to them to rent them out, I'm only going to put 20 on the market. And the other 15, I might decide to go ahead and rent those to a storage facility, right? Because I can charge them market rates. I can't charge market rates to students who are looking for apartments, right? The other unintended consequence that happens when you have rent control like this, which is the ceiling, which this is confusing, but it looks like a floor, right? Right? Price ceilings and price floors, they cause the market to be in disequilibrium. At a price of 400, we've got a lot of people here who are like sleeping on their mom's couch here. They weren't willing to pay 600 for an apartment, but they are willing to pay 550, or they are willing to pay 450, right? All the way till we get down to 400. Let me just extend this. All right. And let's say I've got 60 people here. All right. So because we have a price ceiling, I have basically the quantity demanded has changed. The price changed. Notice how none of the curves are shifting here. That's because we're dealing with strictly price changes in price, right? The curves all stay the same. What did happen is the points changed due to a change in price. So a price ceiling, in order for it to be effective, it's going to has to be below, right? If a ceiling is above my head, it doesn't bother me at all. Think about it like that. If the ceiling is below my head, then it's a problem. It's going to stop me from doing something. It's going to cause the markets to be out of disequilibrium. Also remember, price ceiling starts with the letter C. A price ceiling is generally something for consumers, right? Here, the government thinks it's trying to help consumers, right, with a price ceiling. Businesses are not happy about price ceilings, right? And one of the problems here with the price ceiling is it's basically created in this town a decrease in the number of available apartments.